Hi guys, it's Josh Lloyd here, NBA DraftKings first look for Friday across the NBA. Before I go any further, join the notification gang, hit the notification bell, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into these games. First one up on a 9-game slate for DraftKings is the Pacers and the Magic. Some noteworthy things here. Miles Turner has been ruled out already for Indiana. That's pretty noteworthy. Domantas Sabonis and Malcolm Brogdon are both questionable. While for Orlando, they waived Kem Birch, so Steve Clifford would stop playing him so bloody much. And Gary Harris is off the injury report. So how Harris fits in with Anthony and Carter Williams and Hampton and the Shark Dwayne Bacon and James Ennis and Terry Ross, I don't know how all those guys are going to fit together, but something's going to happen. So let's see how that all looks. But with the potential of Sabonis out again, the fact that he's priced under $4,000, Goga Bitadze at $3,800. Now, I don't think they start Goga if Sabonis is healthy. They'll go with Sabonis and McDermott almost definitely. But Goga could have some value because he'll get some pretty decent minutes there, I would imagine. And then Bumba. Now, the Bumba one is intriguing. In the 2 games prior that Birch did not play, Bumba played a combined 24 minutes, 13 and 11, which is objectively terrible. And then last game, when Birch was available, he played like 25 minutes and put up a really big performance. So they don't play him next to Carter. So it's all going to be, how does the Carter-Bumba split go? If you think it's going to be 25 minutes and 23 for Carter, then by all means, use Mo Bumba. If you think it's going to be 30 plus for Carter, then it's teens for Bumba, and the value does drop in that scenario. But he's still not a bad option at that price. I also like having a look at Wendell Carter at 6,000. I wouldn't want to use both of those blokes together. There is some double up obviously happening there. If one guy has a big night, it's going to be pretty hard for the other guy to do that. Karis LeVert's at 7,600. Like that a lot if Brogdon is out. Probably more lukewarm if he is playing. And then the Hampton, Anthony, Carter Williams, Harris, Bacon, Ross combination. Very hard for me to get excited about any of those guys. And even Chuma Akiki at 5,800 probably is a little bit on the high side there for me. Sabonis at 87, I will like if he does play. That is a really good price for Sabonis against an opponent like the Orlando Magic. Next game we look at is the Memphis Grizzlies. They are taking on the New York Knicks. In terms of injuries, no Justice Winslow, no DeAnthony Melton, no Jaren Jackson, and Brandon Clark is doubtful for the Grizz. The Knicks are just in the same spot, no Mitchie Robinson. 7,100 for Jonas Valanciunas. It feels like one of the safest plays on the board. I'm not sure if his upside particularly high, but there is good value in that. While Taj Gibson's at 39, not that keen. Derrick Rose at 48, who has done well against Memphis in the past, but is on a run where he is struggling, just 19 DraftKings points across his last 5. And Kyle Anderson, that's the one I'm interested in. Really strong floor with all those absences, Winslow and Clark in particular. 59 for Kyle, looks pretty good. Julius Randle's up at 9,900, and even though he's on a streak of some really horrible shooting, he is still racking up counting stats, so I don't mind that. While Rowan Barrett's at 66, he had 40 points last game on a perfect 6 of 6 3-point shooting. So that was good, obviously, but prior to that, he'd been struggling somewhat. I'm not sure he's totally the one we want to use here. Not keen on Dylan Brooks. I would use Ja Morant at 7,100 because that salary is pretty low. I know he's been underperforming, but I think that salary is all right. While Grayson Allen's at 51, and that to me also, with those absences of Melton and Winslow, looks pretty strong in that situation. The Grizzlies are 1.5 point favorites here. Unfortunately, the total is a low one, 213.5. The Minnesota Timberwolves and the Boston Celtics is the next game we take a look at. Boston will get Kemba Walker back. He did not play last game due to rest. The Celtics are 8.5 point favorites, and the total is 228.5. Josh Okogie missed last game for personal reasons. He's probable here. Do they start him again? Do they put D'Angelo Russell back in? Do they start Russell and Rubio together? There's still some question marks as to how Minnesota is going to use that lineup. Will the Celtics persist with Robert Williams? Because Tristan Thompson outplayed him last game. Williams still played 25 minutes, but he wasn't that good. 22 points there. He's at 6,500. There is some upside in using Rob Williams, but there is a level of caution, I think. 8,000 for Jaylen Brown is not bad without being great. And D'Angelo Russell at 63, I'm not keen on. Tatum's at 9, and I think that's probably too high as well. In fact, there's not a huge amount that I love in this one. I will look at Karl Towns, though, at 10.9. We know that Townsy's putting up big numbers under Chris Finch, 61-point average over the last 3 games as well. While Anthony Edwards, he's going to take the shots. There's absolutely no doubt about that for Anthony Edwards. At 7,700, can he get to 40? You would think most nights he's a decent chance of that. So I think there is relative safety in his floor at this point. The Bulls going up against the Hawks. It is a back-to-back for Chicago. We don't know about Danilo Gallinari or Clint Capella. They're both questionable. Hunter and Collins remain out for Atlanta, though. The total here is 227.5. The Hawks are 3-point favorites coming into this one. Daniel Tice at 3,700. The Bulls are running this really, really tight rotation, basically 8-man rotation, with Tice, White, and Markkanen getting the bulk of those bench minutes. It was Troy Brown who got like 12 minutes to be the 9th man in Thursday's game. It could be Garrett Temple if he's back next game, but we're getting just big minutes from Tice, who played 25, big minutes from White, who played 27 coming off the bench, and only 18 from Markkanen. So Tice, that all brings me around to say Daniel Tice is priced at 3,700. Not to say that he's necessarily the best option there, but if he plays 20-plus minutes, he can get 20-plus points, and that's not bad at 3,700. I like Vooch at 9,100, especially if Capella is out. That's a good price. Clint at 8,600. I'm not totally in on that. Trae Young's at 92, and he has not been at that level. I'm not ready to go with him yet. Kobe White's at 43, some marginal interest, and 78 for Zach LaVine. I love seeing Zach LaVine under 8,000. That one works for me. Bogdanovic at 7,000. This dude is just putting up huge numbers. Really, really taking advantage of the absences of Dunn and Reddish and the shitfulness of Snell and Herter. 41, 33, 26, 51, and 50 in the last 5 games. So some pretty good numbers there. And at 7,000, I do like using Bogdanovic. Pat Williams, Kevin Herter, and Larry Markkanen, very hard to get excited there. I think we can look at Onyeka Okongwu at 4,000 if we hear Capella is out. He had 34 points last game when he started without Clint Capella. The next game that we take a look at here, which one is it? It is the Philadelphia 76ers and the New Orleans Pelicans. Brandon Ingram remains questionable for this one. Zion Williamson is back, of course. Kyra Lewis is questionable, and Lonzo Ball is questionable. George Hill remains out for Philadelphia. Seth Curry's at 44. He's got a good record against New Orleans, but I'm not totally into that. 84 for Ben Simmons. I've got no interest in that. I'm a big boy interest in Joel Embiid. 10,100. Love that for Joel against this Pelicans team. Tobias Harris at 8,000, not loving. Ingram's at 83 off an injury, not loving. Zion at 9,000. I think the matchup might be one that I'm a little bit cautious of using him. But with if Ingram does miss, it does give a boost to Zion and to Lonzo. Now, if Lonzo's out, we're really looking at Eric Bledsoe pretty closely. Bledsoe's at 6,400. I'd still probably look at Bledsoe anyway with no Alexander Walker, but Lewis could come in and take some of those minutes. There is also Isaiah Thomas, who's been pretty rough with his shooting so far. But if Lonzo's out, Bledsoe does become the option. Who do they start then? Do they start, if say Lonzo is out, who the hell starts at shooting guard? Is it Najee Marshall? It's almost going to have to be, isn't it? Maybe they start Kyra Lewis and Bledsoe together. Maybe they start Isaiah Thomas and Bledsoe together. Wow, that would be a short backcourt. So there's some big questions for Stan Van Gundy there, which makes it a little bit tough to get excited about the value of a lot of guys there with so many moving parts and pieces at this point. Next up, we look is the Charlotte Hornets taking on the Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks are on a back-to-back. Yanni did not play on Thursday. We don't know whether Antetokounmpo is going to be ready for this one or not. But we have to look at Jalen McDaniels. 3,300 for Jalen, who started last game. I have no reason to expect him not to start again. With Gordon Hayward out, he dropped just 39 points, just a casual 39 at minimum salary. They've bumped him to 3,300, but that's not enough to dissuade me. He can be a 20-plus point guy pretty easily here. Yanni's at 10.8, and if he does play, I think that looks pretty good. And then you got Cody Zeller, who got all of the backup center minutes, had 39 points in 28 minutes last game. I'm not expecting him to do that, but maybe we look at him. Maybe. Probably not, though. Devontae Graham's at 68. That feels a little bit too high, while Middleton at 81 would be one I'd be interested in if Antetokounmpo doesn't play, and PJ Washington at 59. Now, despite shooting like 20% last game, he still did have, 34 DraftKings points? Which is obviously some good value. And if you can bring the defense along with the shooting, which is a big ask at this point for him, there is some interest there. I think Miles Bridges is a low upside cash sort of option at 5,500, who will likely get another start. And then 8,400 for Drew Holiday. I'm just waiting for the bubble to burst for Drew. At this point, it hasn't. This is before Thursday's game is finished, though. Let's go on. Next game, we're looking at the San Antonio Spurs and the Denver Nuggets. We saw this matchup just 2 days ago. No spread or total out just at this point for this contest. I'm sure that'll come out later on. Not really sure what they're waiting for. I guess it's Jamal Murray's status, who's missed the last 2 with a knee problem. He's questionable. Lonnie Walker's questionable, and Gorgie Jeng is questionable. Big Chungus Nikola Jokic is at 10,500. No reason for me to not like that. He's getting you 50 almost every night, regardless. Well, Will Barton at 5,400. I like that, especially if Murray is out. Maga Porter's at 7,200. Also some pretty good floor value for Porter there. And then Murray at 8,000. Jamal Murray at 8,000, not interested in. 75 for DeJounte Murray, I don't mind. He's putting up some pretty strong numbers at the moment. I don't mind that. I wouldn't say it's a high exposure number, though. And 61 for Derek White feels a bit high, as does 62 for Aaron Gordon. Pirtle's at 6,100 as well, and against Jokic, foul trouble can be a problem, and the fact that it's Jokic. So I'm not particularly interested in Big Yak at this one. The Wizards, the Warriors. Bradley Beal is listed as probable for Washington. The Warriors are pretty clean in terms of their injury report. The Warriors are 4.5-point favorites, and the total is big. It's 240.5. James Wiseman is at 4,800. Wouldn't say that he's been playing particularly well. He did show some improvements last game, though, and 32 DraftKings points is plenty at 4,800. So I don't mind using him. Steph's at 99. He could really torch this backcourt, really torch him. So I think he's got some value. Oubre against his former team, I don't really buy into much with him. But I do like Russell Westbrook at 11,000. You feel like Russell's going to get you 60 almost every night, which at 11,000 works pretty well for me. 4,300 for Davis Bertans. I worry just about the limited minutes for him, but he's putting up numbers. I'm cautious on it, though. Hachimura, no thank you. And then Denny Avdia. I don't mind Avdia's floor at the moment. He's getting 25 a night, and he's under 5,000, which is okay. I wouldn't say that he is the most exciting option out there, but he's at least coming into discussions for us. The last game of the night, Houston and the Clippers in LA. The Clippers are whopping 13.5-point favorites. The total is 226, and this is a back-to-back for the Clippers. We don't know whether Serge Ibaka will play. He's missed, feels like forever, with back tightness. We're not sure if he'll play. I like Paul George at 8,200. There is a chance that this is a blowout and they go a bit easy on them, but I like both George and Leonard. Christian Wood's at 85. I think we can do better. In fact, we can do better by looking at his teammate, and that's Kelly Olynyk at 6,000. Olynyk is averaging 41 points over the last three, and at 6,000, I'll take that every day. Marcus Morris is just a GPP option, while with John Wall out, the cousin Kevin Porter Jr. is at 7,000. Has not been living up to that number, for sure. I don't mind it as a GPP option, but I would feel not all that confident about locking him into any sort of lineups or any cash lineups or saying he's the guy that I'm building around. If we look at values across the slate, Jalen McDaniels really stands out like dog's balls at 3,300. I like Yanni, I like Goga, I like Bumba, Wiseman, Wendell. Obviously, that situation with Bumba needs to be worked out. Paul George, Jaylen Brown, Nikola Jokic, Steph Curry, Karis LeVert, Jonas Valanciunas, Kawhi Leonard, Vucevic, Jason Tatum a little bit, Sabonis a little bit, and Kelly Olynyk and Will Barton and Russell Westbrook, as I mentioned already. Guys, that'll do it for me. Don't forget to subscribe. Not Apple Podcasts, because this is just a YouTube show. I'm just doing my usual spiel. Subscribe to my channel, Josh Lloyd Fantasy Basketball, in the title and description, and subscribe here to Al's channel. Hit the box down below, hit the bell, give it a thumbs up, guys. We are done here. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. See ya.